Hi there. The GPMA was formed a year ago now at FESPA 2013. It was established by 7 print trade associations to provide a strong voice to government. So how's it doing? I'm here with Vice Chairman Peter Kiddell to ask the question. Hello Peter. When the GPMA was formed, you said that one of its critical mission tasks was to recruit more associations into its membership. I presume the BPIF with its own lobbying mandate was a focus. Have you brought on board more members, and are there others that you particularly would like to see on board?
Well, yes. I mean, we have pulled on board the Flexographic Alliance, which have a very wide remit in the printing industry. ProSkills, who are actually coming back again. They faded a little when they lost funding, etc. But they're becoming a much stronger force and a very good way of communicating across the industry. We've also taken on board Two Sides because they're really fighting the same battle. Well, we're fighting the same battle, wanting to put over the same message. In their case, it's paper, which has a tremendous future. And in our case, it's print, which has a tremendous future. And what we are all aiming to do is make people, not just government, but people understand the importance of this amazing process. Without print, the developments in technology simply wouldn't happen, because it is the most effective way of laying down a controlled thickness of material within a prescribed area.
Peter, to be blunt, at the time the GPMA was formed, quite a lot of people were quite sceptical about whether it would manage to achieve anything. Can you tell us what its key focus has been over the last year?
Well, the key focus is to understand, if we're talking to government, we have to know how they think. And that can be an interesting chase, because as governments change, and by change I don't necessarily mean go from one party to another, but as they evolve their thinking, then you have to be able to understand how this evolution is taking place and whether the information that we can provide them is relevant to their needs. And over the year, it's been a real eye-opener. We're fortunate to have on board a gentleman who works with government for the Engineering Association, and he understands how government works. To be quite honest, it's been a bit of a shock to me. I thought, well, we just write to them and say, well, we're great, we're going to go, the industry's really prospering and there's a lot in the future, but no. There are a whole range of criteria that they need to fulfill, and we are matching that for them to get the message across. We were talking to, and we are talking to BIS, the Business Department for Business, Industry and Skills, and we were going along a particular route with them. We were going to be running with them displays and explanations of the industry, and then they changed their requirement. It's like anything in business, really. How do you gain an advantage? Is that the right word I'm looking for? You have to establish the needs of your customer, and the government is our customer. And we're now pulling together this cohesive message. To do that, what we've had to do is actually talk to the market, that is the printing industry. Yeah. And we've done that through surveys, not the typical sort of survey you see, which is a bit bland. We've asked some pretty searching questions, and in the next few weeks you'll be provided with the answers that have come out of that survey. That's proved really illuminating.
So how does the collective work, and do some associations have stronger voices than others?
There are a lot of loud voices there. I mean, they're all experienced and mature people in the industry, and it can be very forceful. So that's not a problem. I mean, quite clearly, PICOM were the organisation that were the catalyst for it, but the rest of us are now heavily involved in voicing our opinions forcefully. And this is the point. we work as a team now. When I first walked in, and when other people first walked in, he's a competitor. Oh, he's a competitor. But not talk. But within a couple of meetings, that all the barriers were down, and we're discussing issues of mutual interest. Our next meeting is on June the 18th. Okay, and we have meetings approximately every 3 months. We obviously have an agenda. We individually have tasks. One of mine has been working with BIS, and other people have other tasks that they're looking at, other challenges. And we come back together at the meeting and we discuss how we've taken it forward, and other ideas get put into the pot. Being blunt about this, the reason why FESPA UK Association is in the GPMA is we want to recruit more members. And we recruit more members by providing more information. And we get this information working with the GPMA. So it's in everyone, and that's the same with all the other associations, you see. So, and we're all there, to be quite honest, for the benefit of our associations, and of course that means it benefits the industry.
So how does the GPMA decide what discussions to have with government?
Well, we go back to our membership. I mean, I had a board meeting last week with the board of FESPA UK Association, and we discussed aspects and elements that they wanted me to bring forward with the GPMA. And things like, we're very concerned about payment. We've also talked about intermediaries in the printing industry and the effect on innovation and the effect on where the profits are going.
When the GPMA was formed, I suppose I was expecting to hear rallying calls to arms for printers to get involved in various campaigns. Do you think there's a place for grassroots involvement in the GPMA's mission?
Absolutely. But that's the message we're giving to our membership, and other associations are giving to their membership. And I'm hearing from them what they're doing, they're hearing from me what we're doing and what our members are doing, the printers or print service providers in our case. And yes, of course they are involved, because sat round my boardroom table, I think we had something like more than that, nearly £500 million worth of turnover in the printing industry sat round the table. Right? Yeah. Now that's a big chunk, and these are big players and some small players as well. So yeah, they're feeding their thoughts and ideas into us, or to me as a director of the association. And similarly with other associations.
What is the actual process for making sure that the industry's one strong voice gets heard by government, especially when obviously we have the BPIF with its own lobbying mandate?
I think that the term you use, one strong voice, is interesting. I think probably it's at the moment we are representing a slightly different sector of the industry to the BPIF, who have done a great job over the years, there's no doubt. If you look at our membership, they tend to be younger organisations. Having said that, mine is 80 years old, but in a developing parts of the industry. And what we want to do is combine this innovative, developing aspect of print along with the BPIF's more traditional, but very, let me see what's the word, very positive and authoritative approach. They have established routes to government through the unions. With, of course, we've all been to the events at the House of Lords, where the unions have people who are now in the Lords, and the BPIF uses that, and it works really well. Ours is probably a slightly different perspective, and we'd be delighted to work with the BPIF, and our door is always open to them. We don't look upon them as competition. We're giving it just a slightly different message to government. My impression from our links with government so far is this is appreciated. It wasn't the BPIF who gave bad news to the EU about the demise of the printing industry. It was a European organisation, the BPIF, were very positive. But unfortunately that bad news, which was based on the demise of traditional printers, of course, digital has knocked spots off analogue printing. And the message was to the EU, oh, print is in a dreadful state. Yeah. Simply wrong. Simply wrong. And I think our more positive approach is welcomed by government and has to be welcomed by government. And I'm sure that we are singing from the same hymn sheet as far as the BPIF is concerned, but it's probably a descant.
So what topics are currently on the table, and can you tell us a little bit more about where things stand with those?
As I mentioned, the issue of payment is a big thing to us, and it's a big thing to every association, because that's the fertilizer, is that the word I'm looking for? Maybe, that helps companies grow. Without it, without prompt payment, we're not in business. And I say we because I'm involved personally in the industry myself. Government wants to talk about manufacturing. Right. Wants to talk about innovation, wants to talk about production, wants to talk about employment. I mean, it's all about bringing work back into the UK. At the moment, we're still putting print out to China. That's madness. It's madness. And they're getting away with it because they're extremely cheap and, oh yeah, but we'll do it. They might. The quality isn't as good. We've got superb quality control in the UK. We can produce wonderful stuff, but we've got to do that consistently. And what we're talking about as the GPMA is being able to say to government, here you've got an industry which much of it is still being outsourced. We've got to bring it back in, and the only way we're going to compete with the Far East is by being very efficient at what we do. We're not going to compete on low-cost labour. We've got to have top-quality labour on top-quality equipment producing the best product, whether it is a magazine or whether it is a biomedical sensor.
So what is the GPMA's sort of key focus for the next 12 months?
Well, the next 12 months, we're at the point now, we understand now how government works. We now know the message that we wish to get across to them, and I've really just explained this, and we now know that this is what we've got to do. It's taken much longer than we expected. I mean, I thought that, a couple of meetings and we'd know exactly where we're going. And then, of course, our conduit to government started coming up with statements and comments and how you have to present to government. And I'm thinking, my word, I really didn't know it was this difficult. You're not dealing with people even. You're dealing with concepts. You're dealing with policies. And you're trying to give a message that suits the concepts and the policies that government wants, without throwing away our principles. But unless we get the right message over that is acceptable by government, that is a fit to what they want, we're wasting our time. We are now in the process of understanding, actually, we now know who we have to speak to. We are now at the point where we've got the messages that we want to give over.
A lot of the GPMA's work is obviously done behind the scenes, but should the print industry expect to hear more noise being made by the Alliance over the coming months?
Yes, absolutely. As I say, it's been a learning period this first year. The answer to your last question is yes.